Every agent we have built so far has worked alone. One system prompt, one pile of tools, one loop. That holds up right until the job needs different kinds of work, and then the prompt turns into a page of rules, and every tool is in reach on every single step. So today, we split it up. One orchestrator that owns the goal, and 3 small workers that each do exactly one thing. And here's the promise. We are not adding any machinery to do it. Same loop as last time. A handoff is just a tool ball, or the tool happens to be another agent.
Start with the agent we already have. One system prompt, one pile of tools, one loop. Now give it a job with 3 different kinds of work in it. Look something up, do the arithmetic, write it up nicely. The prompt has to explain all 3, so it grows into a page of rules. And every tool is in reach on every single step, so the model has to decide, over and over, which of them not to touch. Nothing is broken here. It is just getting harder to steer and harder to test.
So we split it. 3 workers, and each one is nothing but a system prompt plus the tools it is allowed to touch. The researcher answers only from the handbook, and it gets the lookup tool. The analyst does arithmetic, and it gets the calculator and nothing else, so it physically cannot go reading the handbook. The writer takes facts and an instruction and produces the final text, with no tools at all. Look at how short each prompt is. That is the payoff of splitting. Each one has a single job, so each one is a few lines you can actually read and test.
Then the boss, the orchestrator, has no tools. It has colleagues. And here is the trick that makes the whole episode work. Its colleagues are listed in exactly the same square bracket syntax we have used for tools since episode 2. Researcher, analyst, writer. To the model, delegating and calling a tool are the same move. It does not need to know the difference. But there are 2 rules underneath that matter more than they look. Delegate one step at a time, and give each specialist everything it needs inside the brackets. Because the workers cannot see this conversation, and they cannot see each other. Every handoff starts from a blank slate. That is the cost of isolation, and it is why the orchestrator's real job is carrying results forward.
Now the loop, and this is the punchline of the episode. It is the same loop. Call the model, parse the action, run it, feed the observation back, including the stop and truncate honesty rule from episode 2, which still matters, because a model that can hallucinate a tool result can just as happily hallucinate a colleague's answer. The only new thing is one branch. If the action names a worker instead of a tool, we call the loop again on the worker. A whole agent runs, with its own prompt, its own tools, its own loop. And when it finishes, its answer comes back as our observation. That is the handoff, one recursive call.
One last thing, and it is why I wanted this episode traced. Delegation is expensive. You are paying for a whole extra conversation every time you hand work over. So the tracer nests now. Each handoff shows up as one line in the parent, with that subrun's total cost, and the subrun's own steps printed underneath it. 7 model calls, where one agent doing everything would have made 3 or 4. That is what specialization costs, in dollars, on screen. So let's open the code.
So here we have a simple task, but our orchestrator will delegate, first split the tasks to subtasks and delegate to our workers or smaller agents. That's the whole point. So the first thing that I want to check is the tools that we have. It's like before, we have some tools and each agent has access to its relevant tools. We have workers here. These are our agent workers that we define. One is a researcher that we give it special prompt, system prompt. We tell it you are a researcher and so on. Which tools does it have access to? The other agent is analyst that has specific system prompt and also tool. The writer that also has a system prompt but doesn't need any tool. All of them have this React framework to think and decide and then answer. So, and we do the answer by observation, like the way we talked about before. Then the most important part is orchestrator, that we tell him that you are just an orchestrator. You never do the work yourself and you never state facts of your own. You just delegate every part of the task to a specialist and agent and pass what you learn along. And we give the list of specialists that it has. So that's the point. Let me run it and see what is the output using this multi-agent orchestration. So here I see the first action from the orchestrator. Orchestrator is, it's called the researcher. Researcher goes for this Nimbus pro plan per minute request limit. It's handing off to a researcher. So the action of the researcher is written here, lookup for this search phrase. Observation is rate limits Nimbus pro plan allows this amount of API. And then it goes on. It gets the answer, the observation, and then it passes to the orchestrator. Then orchestrator says, I have the per minute request limit for the Nimbus pro plan. How? Now I need to calculate how many requests would be rejected if 150 requests were sent in 1 minute. And it goes on. Then it says action is, we need analyst, and if the limit is 60 requests per minute and 150 requests are sent, how many requests are rejected? Then it gets the answer. It doesn't use its knowledge or calculator or something like that to calculate. You just give it to the analyst that has a calculator tool. And it goes on and answer the final answer is here. The Nimbus pro plan has a per minute request limit of 60. If 150 requests were sent in 1 minute, 90 would be rejected, and it give it back to the user. And we have also the tracer that is very useful here. We will see where our tokens, our cost, and our latency goes on for this task. That's it. See you on the next episode.
So that is multi-agent, from scratch with no framework and no new machinery. A worker is nothing but a prompt plus the tools it is allowed to touch. An orchestrator is an agent whose tools are agents. And a handoff is one recursive call, whose answer comes back as the next observation. What it costs you is context and money, because every worker starts from a blank slate, and the nested trace shows you exactly how much. What you buy is short prompts and tools that cannot leak across holes. Next episode, the agent looks at its own work and criticizes it before it answers. Reflection. If this helped, like and subscribe. The code is in the description. See you in the next one.